How's it going, guys? I've got to get an intro. Oh, we have an intro, but what I've got to get on here is an actual waiting so I can start it up and then count down from like 5 minutes or 2 minutes or whatever it is before I go. See some of y'all coming over. How's it going? It's been a rough. Well, I don't say rough. It could be really rough. Um, Lame kind of market. Not a lot of great moves. A lot of range-bound days with random breakdowns at the end. Ooh, let's see. Looking over a few trend lines. Is it kind of quiet? Let me bump it. How about now? Is that a little bit better? I bumped up the mic a little bit. Yeah, I agree with the follow through. It just hasn't been there. I'll try to keep the mic. I'll try to talk up as I'm talking. I'll try not to whisper. I mean, we are coming down to the 200 though on the Qs. Posting. Kind of hoping it hits. Kind of hoping it hits this week and we can get some resolution. Maybe it can consolidate there and then go up. It hasn't hit the 200. The Qs haven't hit the 200 since back 2 years, back in 2020, early 2020. So it's been a while since it's kind of been down here. So it'd be interesting. I mean, I know that technically, like, from then to now, it's still, like, overall, obviously, going up. But I'd be interesting to see what happens when it kind of hits that level. What kind of support we run into. There's been no great follow through. I have found some things that have worked, and I found some ways. And honestly, what I've been doing, and we'll talk about what we want to get into tonight in a few minutes. But I've just been trading early with normal quote-unquote size, and then I just stop as soon as I'm green. So like it doesn't matter how much it is, 1,000, 2, 3, or just a couple hundred, and just based on how the morning goes, and then I pretty much stop. And if I'm here, I've been doing some one contract stuff with Google and some other names, and then sizing up to like kind of test that. I won't say theory, but test that to test what I've been doing to see if it works and to see if it's been working. And I've got something really good, I think, that works really well in Google. So I'll talk about that some tonight, and then I'll probably show some footage of it. If not tonight, yo, what up, Con? If not tonight, then I'll show some of that on Friday's show. Just looking at a few little lines. I'm not doing too much on trend lines. I just need to update some. Watching Tesla tomorrow. So before I get going, these are kind of I think these are nice trend lines here for Tesla that I'm watching. I'd like it to come down in this 950 area and hold up, and then give me like a daily. Mitchell was saying earlier, and I kind of agree with him, like a red takes green on the daily, or green takes red, sorry, something like this, or it hits a trend line like this one, goes below it, closes above it the next day, and then I probably long it. That's what I'm looking for down here on one of these trend lines, preferably in that 950 area whenever it gets there. So let's go ahead and get started. Trying to think. I've got a couple things I could talk about. I'll definitely take questions if there's anything. I'm going to talk some about what I'm looking for in Tesla, what I've been doing this week, how I've been trading, and then we'll go into a little bit of psychology, a little bit of a few other things, and we'll just kind of see how it goes. Yeah, buyers are revving the engines. Like if Tesla gets below, you know, 1,000 like it did today, and it wants to stay down there and it wants to flush, you know, we could definitely get some buyers and some bounces. I'm just waiting for a good opportunity to get into it. So with all that, guys, hey CT, what's up, man? With all that, I'm Gator, and let's talk stock market. Love that. So market's been and feel free to ask questions, feel free to jump in. I don't have a specific topic. I'm going to talk some about just my mindset in this time of trading. Like, there are markets when, and for those of you who might be watching this and you're like, man, you know, I don't get what he's saying. There are times in this market where I log on and within 30 minutes I'm up 5 figures. And that's just a fact. And other guys who are in here that trade with me can attest to that, or they're up, you know, 5 grand, or they're up 6, or they're up whatever's big to them. Like they're up and they're like, yo, I could be done for the day. And that usually happens, and there's a way that, and that happens pretty quick, and there's just a feel that the market has when it's trading like that. And this is not that market, and that's just a fact. So what I've been doing to survive, because my mindset changes, and it's really hard for me to change it, and it's really hard for me to do this. But what I do, and I force myself to do, is to survive in this market. And yes, there are ways to make money. I'm going to talk about one of them that I found today. It kind of goes off what something Geronimo has done, but there's something there that I found a way to kind of keep myself occupied if I'm hanging out. And there's a few other things, but my mindset is survival, because I know at some point, whether it's today, this week, next week, or next month, that I am going to have some of those days, and we might get a week or we might get a day or two where the market is just good, and it's just that easy again to make money. And whenever that comes, I want to be ready for it. So what I am trying to do is to stay as toxic free as I can by trading roughly 30 minutes, and sometimes more, sometimes less. And I'm on the mic, I'm in Discord, I'm chatting it up, for the main reason of I just, you know, want to hang out with. And, you know, me and CT said earlier today in the Discord, like, you know, it's just, I like to hang out with you guys, I like to talk. I know other people are trading, so I want to help them. And I just edit my tier size to where I'm not giving away my day, and I'll trade some. But it's exhausting, and I'm not always a big fan of it in this type of market, because it just feels like, you know, you want to trade something, you want to go normal size, nothing's working, everything's kind of just sus. And all I think about on these days is not making money, but just surviving, just trading intelligently, just making a few dollars and getting off. And unless I have to have the money for a specific thing that's coming up in my life, like the nice thing about this, and I think something that will help your longevity as a day trader, is knowing when the market conditions are in your favor. And when the market conditions are in your favor, you trade aggressively, or you trade how you trade, and you lean into your strategies. When they're not, you're more cautious. The Russian bots are here, CT. You just take 1 or 2 or 3 trades, you lock in green, and then you're just done. You save yourself psychologically, and you save yourself for when those good moves come. And you also save your account, because if you don't adjust your trading to the market and adjust your strategies to the market, then you're going to give back everything you make on those really good days. And not only that, you're going to give back more than what you make on those days, because it's so much easier to lose than it is to gain. And then you're not going to be set up, you're not going to be prepared for when things are actually going good again. And all that's going to do is get you back to where you were beforehand, and then the market's going to get hard, and you're just going to be doing this because you're not actually making a change. So, you know, your account is going to be what the market has been, which is just a channel, and it's just going to be this sideways channel, and you're not breaking out of it, because whenever the market changes, you're not shifting with it a little bit, you're not sizing down some and just being intelligent. and you're trying to do, you're trying to trade something that's not in front of you. You're trading the market you wish that it was and not the market that it actually was. And we all do that. So what I've been doing to change that is, first, I do trade Tesla early. That's usually the main name I do. So let's look at Tesla really quick this morning. I feel like I did a few trades in Tesla this morning. I feel like we caught some of this down move. Like, I think I caught 2 or 3 points in it, and then I was done around 30 minutes in or something, around the time. No, it was in here. I pretty much laid off everything, barely traded, and then I caught some of this. You can see it broke yesterday's low, or yesterday's close, and then it broke yesterday's low, which was right there. And then I played, basically when it hit a moving average, I would just play it. I'd catch some of this. It came over. I waited for it to hit the 8. I caught some of this. And I would just buy 1 or 2 minute breakdowns. And I caught a few of those moves, not all of them. And then I was done around here because I had to go to the chiropractor. I think I missed some more of this, and that was fine. I came back, and here's what I've been finding, and I've got some video footage, but I'm still working through it to show you guys. And it's in Google. And this works with other names too. Sorry, I've got to pull up my other chart. This is not the correct. I gotta do my 4 time frame chart. Here we go. So 1 minute up top, 2 minute right here, 5 minute, 15 minute. The two that you care about really is just the 1 minute chart. I'll Control L this so you guys can see it. Basically what I'm looking at is just the 1 minute chart. Shift L, I mean. Alright, so Google likes to do, first, I like to locate a trend in Google, meaning it's stronger or shorter or weaker than the Qs. So Google at this point had bounced up and was trending long. So let's say, it was outperforming the Qs because it was, this is at 12. So, we'll just say, well, let's see where the Qs were at in here. I'm going to show some footage. So Google was pretty much going with the Qs, and then it started outperforming the Qs in this area. It was actually going a little bit higher. Like the Qs were a little bit weaker. It was a little bit stronger. But Google was doing okay. And what I looked for and how I traded this name was with a few contracts. Generally, you want it above VWAP in the 200, but you can do it when it's below. And I just wait for it to wait for the stochastics to go down low. So I wait for Google to set up down here, down somewhere. And then I buy one of these candles. It needs to actually be trending up, sorry. So this is 1 minute chart. Say in here, the stochastics are down at the bottom, and on an actual chart, they'll kind of start, and you guys see it when I call it out, they start coming together, and it looks kind of weird after you do it. So on Friday night show, when I show some of these live, some of the ones that work and some of the ones that don't work, we'll kind of take a better look at them. But that'll start coming like this. It'll start kind of crossing down, or they'll both kind of go below this 20% line. I have then been buying. I'm not waiting for it to tick back up. I'm waiting for it to tick sideways or for it to kind of hold still, and I'm watching the Qs. If at the same time the Qs were actually going down too, I would then, or if they leveled out and the stochastics on the Qs were at the bottom and the stochastics on Google were at the bottom on the 1 minute chart, I buy, 1 contract, 5 contracts. I'm getting consistent fills on most of my Google contracts at a, let's say, $3 spread, $2 spread, almost directly in the middle every single time. Sometimes it's not that way. Generally when it's sitting still and I buy it, I've been getting filled in the middle. So I buy it when it's sitting still, and then it pops, it runs up, and I sell it roughly 2 to 3 candles into the run when the stochastics get to the top. Then I wait and I sell it. There's no bending in this. Once you bend, unless you're just getting PI that's giving you scam fills, and for those who don't know, scam fill PI is just like you buy and you sell and the price improvement pays you. Unless you're doing that, You have to wait for the stochastics to come back down here. And sorry, my picture was in the way. I'll move this. Over here, I'm sorry that my picture was in the way of this. So you can see right here how it crossed up. And then it came up here to the top. Once it comes up to the top, you leave it alone or you short it depending on the overall market. It goes down a little bit. You could probably make a little bit there. It's down at the bottom. They come together, and then you go long. And then you basically just have to trust it. How I play this is I really just trust the stochastics more than the stock unless the cues are going against me. Unless something is going against me, like I wouldn't have sold on this candle here. If I bought on this candle, more than likely, I would have just held it because it didn't break down and I didn't technically like lose on it. And then I would have sold up here near the 200 because that's where I would have thought, quote unquote, that it would have hit. And then I do that pretty much all day or all afternoon. If there's nothing else going on, I just sit here and if I'm not doing something else, and I try to find names, and this is just the one that it's been doing. And I wait for it to go down, and it's down right here, so you can see the marker on the screen at 12:23. It hit the 21, so you've got a 21 set on the 1 minute, which is the first time it's actually hit the 21 since and that's the first time since it got up above, you know, everything. The 21 crossed above the VWAP and 200, and then you get this little pop. And then it's kind of up to you if you sell or not here. Honestly, on this one, I probably would have broke even or lost because I am just letting the stochastics ride up. They didn't ride up. It pulls down. You know, you could hold it through all of this, and honestly, you probably wouldn't lose. It's just, can you hold something for 20 minutes or something like that? And then it goes back up. So, pulls down some. Stochastics go back down to the bottom. I'd buy again somewhere in here. When that stochastic starts crossing to back to the upside, it would pop for about I give it about 2 or 3 candles, and then I sell. I wait for the stochastic to come back down, and I noticed, I think, a couple times when I played this, because this is 12:56. I don't remember when I started playing it, but I do remember a couple times. Every time it was kind of hitting this level, this 30% level is when it crossed up. So I just started buying, like I'd buy 2 or 3 contracts when it was here, and then I would give it 2 to 3 candles and sell. It came back to the 30% area, and I just noticed that that area was where it went. And if you're really patient with this and you're just looking for a single trade every 5 minutes or something like that, this can work. And it worked a lot better yesterday for me than it did today, and it worked really good last week. I actually caught a really big move, and then you can play it to the downside. If it starts breaking down and you wanted to short it or something, or you thought it was going lower, you just wait for the stochastics to come up like after a pop, and then you play it down. And then you play it up and you play it down. You're not trying to catch 10 points on this. You're basically using price improvement to catch, you know, 50 cents to a point, generally speaking. And you'll get these little moves, and they don't seem like a lot, and it doesn't feel like a lot. And if you're holding for big moves, you're not probably, unless there's a trend going, you're not really going to get paid. But if you're just sitting there waiting for the stochastic to go down low, you're taking, you know, you're taking a few contracts, you're basically writing it out until the stochastic gets close up to this 80% line, and then you're selling it. I had an extremely high win rate with that. So I sat there and scalped around about, I don't know, maybe $2,000 or something like that, 50 cents at a time on a couple contracts. The danger in this strategy, and I'm still working on some clips and some videos to show the good and the bad and the stuff from it. The danger with this strategy is if you bend into it and if you're buying near levels. So it's like if there's a breakout level, you have to play it differently. You have to play it like it would be Amazon or something, and usually that means letting it pull back. If you're trying to catch a big breakout, or you're bending into a name because it went down and then it ripped back up, and you're trying to, oh wait, it's going to go higher or something like that because you've seen it do that before, that's usually when you get hurt. This strategy is basically just something to do that it is possible to make money in these names safely if you're just going to sit here all day. It's kind of a way to keep your, your fingers itchy, your fingers set or something. You wait for them to go down, you buy them, you just trust the stochastics, realizing you can lose a point or two, so you don't go too heavy. If it rips against you, you make sure you're going in the same general direction as the cues and the overall market, meaning if Google is trending up and relatively strong to the cues, you want to make sure you're going long. If it's relatively weak, like it was later in the day, like when you get back over here, then you definitely don't want to go long, you want to go short, and you'll let them come back up, and then you'll always buy them at the top, and then you just sell when it gets to the bottom, and then it'll come back up eventually, and then you'll just sell it like that, and you just keep doing that. You just wait, don't play it. You can play it both ways. I found it hard to do that. I have done it. I did it one day this week and I found mixed success, but then eventually you can catch a big move if it ever does decide to move. So I just sat here and kind of did stuff like this, and you can see it doesn't always go back up. Like there, it chopped a little bit and then it went down, so chopped up some there and then it went down. So you got to keep the cues in mind. But if you have a cues chart and a Google chart up, and especially if it's in a range, so if you have a day when it's like we're range trading and it just feels like the market is hitting a level and then hitting a level and hitting a level and hitting a level, I found it very effective this week to do that. Like it really worked for me for range trading. I think when it's in a channel and it's breaking out or breaking down, that is a little different, and I don't think that this would necessarily work. But every time, I don't know the exact percentage, but probably 80% of the time or so, when Google was going in the correct direction, meaning the 8 was above the 21 and the cues were not ripping against me, and I was playing it just like as a trend, like the cues were in a range and the cue stochastics were down here at the bottom and or up at the top, or whichever direction I was playing it, and the Google was too, and we had just had our down move, I would then buy a few contracts and just let it go up for 2 or 3 candles and sell and make, just depending on price improvement, sometimes I'd make a point, sometimes I'd make 50 cents. And if you don't get greedy and you're cool with just scalping a little bit at a time, waiting 3 or 4 minutes, scalping another little bit at a time, you can make a little bit of money there. And I'll have some proof videos later showing me do it. And if Google is ever breaking out, you can use them to get the stochastics to get an entry point. At least in the last 2 weeks since I've been watching this name, because Tesla's been fairly dead and some other names have been fairly dead, I have found it really responds to the stochastics, and they can be a really good indicator of entry points if you're trying to pick an entry and you're not sure. Watching these and timing this up with the cues, and no, you're not going to catch every move, and that's kind of what people, well, I would have missed this move, I would have missed this move, man, I was waiting on the stochastic setup and I didn't catch this move. Yeah, that's true. You're not going to catch every move, but you're going to get high probability safer entries if you just wait for them. So in a choppy market, it's so much easier to get chopped up and to get sucked into trying to catch every 1 minute breakdown and every, and you're just like, oh, this is going to be the time it breaks out. This is going to be the time it does this. But if you find ways to limit your trading and you find ways to limit your losses and limit your bending, then it'll help you in the long term become better and to actually not give up your days and give back. So if you're just sitting here and you can do a strategy like this, and I don't mind calling these out tomorrow afternoon if I'm on in the afternoon and this is happening and nobody's on the mic, and I can call out my entries and call out stuff just so you guys can watch what I'm looking at when this happens again, and then I'll do a video on this kind of explaining it and showing some stuff. But there was a few times today when I got 0 PI and I was like, oh, oops, and it just sucks. And it does happen, and it's a risk you run with that. So it's not a 100%er. It's not something that's going to work every time. It's just something that if you're playing a trend in a channel, or you're just playing the top and the bottom of a channel or something, and you're just trying to find an entry to scalp 20 cents or whatever it is, using your stochastics to locate the entry point, to play it in the opposite direction has really been the way to go. At least for me, that's been the strongest way to go for these little midday scalps when I'm bored and I'm just hanging out here. The second thing I've noticed, and that I want to say that might help you guys, and this one's more of a nuance, but let's go back to Google because I saw a perfect example of it. When I am looking at a name, where is it? And I see the stochastics going down. Here we go. So here's what I really like, and I'd have to compare this with the Qs, but look at this. So the stochastics are going down here. Oh, hang on, my picture's in the way. Sorry, guys. The stochastic is going down on the 1 minute, but the stock is not dropping dramatically. That generally is a sign of strength. Overall, the stock is going sideways, and it continues to go sideways, and even with it going up, like, it's not, I doubt your contracts would have been losing a ton of value in here. I'd have to go back, and I wasn't even here then, so I don't know how this traded. But when I see this, that is usually a sign of strength for me. So even in Tesla, even in other names that I play, if I have been seeing things like this move and it's been going more, and then all of a sudden the stochastics drop off or they start going down, but the stock doesn't, and it kind of stays or goes up or kind of goes sideways a little bit without doing that deep drop, usually I take the next green takes right after that. Usually I find something in there, and I'll take the next 5-minute breakout or something, because that to me is like a more of a maybe bullish consolidation, or bearish if it's going down and stochastics are going up. So I will usually wait. Excuse me, I'm tired. For a good breakout sign, and then I'll take it. So that's just another thing that I've noticed that I usually kind of keep in my back pocket when people are like, oh, how do you get conviction in this name? Or what are you looking for? That's one of the things I look for if I've been watching the name trade a lot. So hopefully that's something that you guys can watch. I wouldn't recommend just jumping into it. I would kind of recommend watching it, and it's pretty easy to kind of pick out when it's happening, and kind of easy to see. And then you can just be like, yeah, I see what you're talking about. But I'll try to call some of those out tomorrow if I'm trading long and if I'm on here later in the day. I've done it with up to 10 contracts and been successful. Generally, I do less than that, like 5 and under, just because, you know, nobody likes to lose 2 or 3 points in 10 contracts right away if you are wrong on this and the price improvement doesn't show up. But that's one thing I've been doing, and one way I've been trading in the middle of the day that I have found to be successful. What I haven't found to be successful is trading Tesla when it's doing like this movement. Like if it's breaks down, I can make money there. I cannot make money very well in like this area. This is like mostly losing for me. There's some wins in here, like when it hits a 200 and it's bearish, I usually look for a short. There's some other stuff, but for the most part, these are hard to play because you're just chopping, and there's no real volume here. And then boom, you get a little bit of a flush, you know, it goes back up, chops you out a little bit. There's a 21 flush. Here's a 21, but it goes up above it, hits the 100, a little bit of a flush, goes up to the 200, hits the 200, you get a flush. So once you get a flush, it's like the first time it plays a candle, maybe it works, like the next 1 minute breakdown, and then the second time it really doesn't, no matter what happens. So it's like the 21 worked once, and then the 100 worked once, and then the 200 worked. So limiting my trades in names like this have been helpful. So for the specific Google trade, I just used the 1 minute specifically for that trade. And let me go back to those charts. Now, it would overall be helpful if your like 2 minute was going in the same direction that you were going. Like, you would probably be better off. But for Google, because of the way it moves, you can't really get that. Like if you're waiting for a 2 minute to time up, the way that it moves, because it's like so many points at a time and there's not a lot of volume, it's not easy to just be like, okay, hit, now they're both pointing in the right direction. You've already missed your entry. So for short scalps, and I'm literally just small scalping this based on like price improvement, trying to catch just a little bit and then be done. It's just something. It's not something to make a ton of money on. It's just something to kind of, jump around in, and something to do if you have to sit here all day. I'm just doing the 1 minute because I'm looking to time my entry next to perfect and then sell within a minute or two. And then if you're banking on getting the same price improvement that you got previously, and so you just take that. And I've got a bunch of footage of it working, which we'll review. I'll try to do it the next couple days, and I can show it on Friday, and show some other stuff too, but we can show that some on Friday. Are there questions about this? I might be able to pull up some from today while I'm sitting here, but I just don't want to go through my video footage on here, and I didn't have time to actually look through them. The questions about this specifically or anything else, y'all got general questions? And I'll talk about Tesla some, what I'm looking for. What do you mean dominant levels? Like, what do you mean, in Google or in Tesla? So I wasn't doing that in Tesla. I was just doing it in Google. Was the only name I was using the stochastics like that for. It might work in Tesla too. But Tesla's just more choppy, so you have to take less size and have more, like, quote unquote holding conviction that it's going to go down. Like, you're just going to get chopped up doing that in Tesla. Yeah, I don't do that strategy. It's only a Google strategy and maybe an Amazon strategy. It's not a Tesla strategy, because the way Tesla's options move, you're going to get shaken out. Like, it's just pretty much a guarantee, unless you're just really good at holding and really good at just playing things like a certain way. You have to time everything just right. It's very difficult to do. Very difficult to play Tesla that way. I've tried it, and even with one contract, it can be difficult. Just because, like, this whole move, if you just look at a random spot in Tesla, let's go to the other chart, and I'll show you why. It's a little bit more difficult. Yeah, that strategy is only for Google and probably Amazon. So the reason I don't do it in Tesla is, okay, it crossed up here. You had a little bit of a pop, so maybe you could have made some there. So this could be an entry for Tesla here. I'll do Control Shift. Yeah, the reason, this 110 here, it's just the 200. Once it went up and hit the 200, I'd short off of, I always short or go long off of a 200. So it's like if a stock is going higher and then comes down, it does work on the QsCon. I do it on the Qs, and I'm going to start trading the Qs off of it, honestly. So that's another name, and it's honestly probably an easier name, and I need to just do it in the Qs. Okay, nice. So what I'm talking about, Khan does for all of his trades. So anytime, though, by the way, that, like, if this happens in Tesla and you failed to break out and hold, next time it goes up and hits a 200, I get a 1 minute breakdown. I take it almost all the time. Same for other names. Hey, what's up, Dyer? Nice, Con. I'm glad that it works for you, and I do notice that it works in the Qs, and I'm actually going to start trying to trade the Qs just using stochastics, because I think it's easy even for people with smaller accounts that just want safer trades, less risk. Like, I think the Qs are better than some of these other names for that. And if it's in this channel, like the Qs, so, I think you can it's much easier to catch these kind of moves and just follow the stochastics. I think it's much easier. Okay, yeah. Definitely post some screenshots. And I will start recording some, and I'll test it on the queues, test me doing it on the queues, and then post some videos of it for you guys to watch if you want to learn how to do it. And I'll also do some videos. Google's a lot more risky, but I can also show some videos of me doing it in Google pretty soon. And then we can see both. We can watch some winners, some losers, so you guys kind of know, like, hey, this is what happens. This is when it doesn't work. You know, this is just part of it. So we can look at that. But yeah, I know it works in the queues. I watched it. I just choose to trade Google instead of the queues, but I need to just switch over to the queues. Jess, if you're talking about in Tesla, I haven't really noticed. I've just been doing 5 and 10 for the past like month or two, so I haven't gone beyond that really. I would say there are. I would say that a lot of times, yes. I don't notice a difference, honestly. But sometimes I might. If you go really big, you definitely notice. It depends on how much volatility is in the name and how many contracts are being traded, and because I don't think price improvement is not necessarily like the difference in the bid and the ask. It's like from where people are like bidding and where people are buying and stuff. So it's like you could actually have contracts being sold in the middle, even though there's a bid and the ask out there, and they give you price improvement on that, if that makes sense. Yeah, there you go. Khan's posting some in Discord. Yeah, these are beautiful. Yeah, you see how that timed up perfectly with a 21 test? Stochastics at the top. So if you guys, here, I'll share this Discord screen here. Let's look at this. So this is what I look for when I'm doing this. And this is the same thing in Google, guys. And this is the same thing in any name. When I'm looking for something, this is what I look for. So it's like it comes up, it hits a moving average. It's overall weak on the day, obviously. It comes up, it hits a 21, the stochastic. So you don't play any of this middle range here. Like, it doesn't matter. You don't try to catch this down move. The stochastics aren't set up. If it goes without you. That's the strategy. It comes up here. It's gone up. The stochastic's gone up. It starts buying down. This point where he has his cursor right here and where my cursor's at, that's your buy point. It crosses down, and you have to trust it. And that's the danger or scary part, quote unquote, is you in a sense either take the quick money on your entry, or you just take small enough size that you can trust it to let the stochastic go down, at least halfway before you sell. So you don't get shaken out on this candle jumping up and on this candle jumping up and down, this candle jumping up and down. This candle, you're just letting that stochastic go down, and you're trusting that move based on the stochastic. Don't take enough size to where you can get hurt, and then you just do it again. Here's another one he posted. Yep, here's your entry down here. This is whippy, so it does look hard, but here's your entry. Stochastic crossed up. You can see your entry, and then you could get shaken out here. Honestly, it'd probably be hard not to, but it crosses up. The hard side. Oh wait, here's your entry. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong way. There's no way you should go long on this. Sorry, Con, I'm looking at the wrong side here because the 8 is below the 21, so you want to go short. Here's your entry point, and here's where his cursor is. I was looking at the wrong thing. So the 8 is, the 8 is below the 21, so this starts going lower. Here's your entry right here. Look at that perfect entry. Stochastics cross right here. You buy this candle. There's your entry. Bam. You catch that whole move. That's almost a point, a little less than a point in the queues, which you're not going to make $1 million in one of those, but that's, I don't know what you made on that, but that's probably 20 cents, 30 cents, depending on the contract you take, even 10 cents. So, and then the stochastics are down here at the bottom, and again, you sell. So yeah, what he's showing here in these pictures is the exact same thing I do in Google, and it's the exact same thing that I do, that I watch the queues and I watch other names for. And that's what I do middle of the day, is I sit there and I wait for that stuff to set up, and I take them. And I'll post some videos of me doing them so we can kind of check them out. And it can't be sitting there just scalping, just making the money all day. Be like, these guys and their all these different strategies and people saying it's hard. Just wait for the queues and the stochastics to set up, and then just take the next one, then take the next one, then take the next one. Then Geronimo's like, I'm shorting the queues here. He's like, oh, there's a buy setup, and it just coincides with stochastics, and you're like, 100 contracts, all in. No, but there's a lot of power in that. And it honestly has been teaching me to wait and to be patient with my trades and my setups. It's actually helped me, like, all right, waiting for this, waiting for this. Don't care if it goes without me. I need to wait for the setup. Okay, these stochastics are set up now, and now we're going short. And that's kind of how I trade it. Here's a bullish one. Who posted this one? Oh, same one. Yeah, here's AMD. AMD, I've depends. I have a hard time trading this, but here's the same thing in AMD. So, sometimes yes. If I'm wanting to hold a name longer, I'm definitely looking at the stochastics, but I would say I don't really hold, like, once I'm green. It just depends on the name. But yes, if I'm holding a name, I'm looking at the stochastics. So here's your entry. AMD breaks up. So you've got an actual. I assume this is know your limit. I assume this is an 8 EMA con. But so you have a know your limit 8. How do you know if you want to take it? I mean, you can see this goes up, it curls down. There's your sell point right here. It comes down, it hits the 8. You could buy this anyway, but the stochastics start crossing up, so you definitely buy there. And then it just goes up. You know, you sell. Hopefully, you probably sell right here because I'd imagine it goes down. They're starting to cross down, and this is R2. So you could catch, that's a 1.5 in AMD right there, just buying when the stochastic crosses up. And it didn't go down below 20%, and it doesn't have to. Yeah, 8 and 21. Okay. And it just starts crossing up. So this is what I've been using. Same things Khan's using. That has been my main tool in this market to adjust my trading style to the market environment. And it's just the only way that I can stay consistent, and I'm not having, like, I haven't had a 5-figure day in a couple weeks, maybe a month. Yeah, it's been a little bit. And probably since I posted some of those videos, like, and I don't mind saying that, like, I haven't. The market hasn't been conducive to me trading like that, so I haven't traded like that. I did a couple of times and I lost. And I was like, oh crap, I need to adjust. And now I've been adjusting, and I've just been sitting here kind of doing this small stuff, and sometimes it's a headache, and it's like watching paint dry, and I drink pre-workout just to stay awake at the monitor, you know. And I think I'm going to do a little bit less. I wanted to kind of do some stuff to help you guys and show you some things that could work if you're having a hard time and you're having a hard time walking away. That if you can get in a rhythm of watching a name like the Qs or something like that, you can sit there and you can make money using the stochastics and using, you know, using different indicators to help you scalp a few cents. You just can't be looking for home runs middle of the day. Instead, it's just like ting, little base hit, you know, 20 cents here, you know, 20 cents there. You let a lot of them add up, and in my opinion, you never size up into those. The reason you never size up into those is because if you're just taking a lot of small hits, if you're just taking a lot of like small base hits, you don't want to be like, okay, this is going to be a home run, because if you strike out, you could get back a lot of that. It's just about consistently, you know, an 80% win rate, you know, or plus, and you're just sitting there scalping. What do you mean, Blademan? Are you using the 3, 5, 3, and 7 on what settings? On stochastics, go to my video. And you can see what settings we're using. In one of my previous videos, I also shared my chart layout on TC2000 and showed all the like indicators and all that other stuff. So I've got a video going over the entire stochastic setup, and you can check that out if that's what you're talking about. Yeah, if that's what you're talking about, just go check that out. I think I forgot to edit my thing, and there's a little bit of lag from when I'm talking and when y'all are seeing it, but I'll fix that for the next video. Yeah, 3 and 7. I think, let me go back to it. So thank you, Khan, by the way. I really appreciate it for having that. See, you're prepped. I don't even have, I'm doing the show and Khan is prepped. He's ready to go. Yeah, so here's what we're using. This is the 3 and the 7, or 7 and 3. So it's 7 and then percent K3. And then delta 3. Yeah. So I find these extremely good. And here's another one on the 2-minute. Like, you can use this with the 2-minute too. And generally the 2 and the 5-minute are like overall indicators for me. But I mainly use the 1-minute for quick scalps, 2-minute for, you know, oh, here's a good indicator here of when I like something short. So another thing, let me move this. Another thing I'd look for. So you see how the stochastics are going up here, but the Qs really aren't? And then it starts crossing and going down on the 2-minute. Once that starts crossing and going down, because it didn't really trend up at all during this whole stochastic up move, you had really no upward movement in price, like a total of, you know, not even a $2. But now they're all the way back up at the top. That's usually a good sell point for me. And this would have been my entry short at the end of the day right here if I was trading the Qs short, because the stochastic set up short. So you can see how it crosses. You can see how it crosses right here. And yeah, this one whipped around, but if you bought here at this candle to break, and then you could have just held the stochastic move down to the end of the day. Not that I would recommend trading the last bit of the day, but you could do the same thing here. So just showing the Qs, look at it, it's up top, it breaks down. You know, you can catch this little bit of a move and sell. You're not looking for home runs, so it doesn't matter if this pops. Hopefully you sell by then. Same thing here, it's at the top, 3 candles down. You know, that's 3 candles. Here, same thing. You got 3, 4, 5 candles down or more. So you can just sit here and do this all day. That's what I've been doing. That's how I've been staying consistent. Semi-consistent. It's still been hard. It's been rough. It's not been easy. It's so hard not to tilt and so hard not to do anything. I'm really forcing myself to be consistent and to stay small and not to make a lot and just take a few good trades and then size down and just, that's it. So that's really what I've been doing in this market. And until it changes, that's all I'm going to do, guys. Mitchell, Michael, sorry. I will post a link in the description of this video afterwards, or just comment. If you just comment on the video after I post it, I will post a link on that comment so you can join the Discord. Well, I like it more when it crosses higher. So if you're talking, like, if I go back to the stochastics, if you're talking, like, if it crosses up here above the 80%, I like that more. Because a lot of times when it's in here, you'll get more chop. Like here, look, it crossed down here, but then it went back up. So it's more consistency. Like in here, I wouldn't like it as much. So you can see it's kind of crossing in this area. I wouldn't like this as much in the 50% range. I'd like this right here when it crossed down more. But I wouldn't care as much for the middle crosses. It just depends on the name and the day and other market factors, and you kind of got to take all that into consideration. Yep, Steve, that's correct. And that's why, and it's very frustrating. Like, it's really hard to go from making 10 grand a day to making 1 grand a day. And I know some of you are like, boo-hoo, I wish I could do that. I get it. But it's hard from making $1,000 a day to making $100 a day, or 500 to 50. Scale it how you want. And it's really hard to do that. It's mentally exhausting. You feel like a bad trader sometimes. You feel like there's something wrong with you, and you really have to. Sorry, I was talking in Discord. You really have to learn to take it easy, and you have to learn to be consistent and understand that the market requires you to change, and the market requires you to adapt. And then if you want to be a successful trader, you really have to do that and adapt. And this is how I personally am trying to adapt, and why I wanted to share this with you guys, to help you try to adapt, because we've got to know the battlefield that we're on. Yep. Steven, I wish, and I think that, so before I get off, let's jump back to the other one. Before we call this, this is my daily. This is my daily. Let's go to the daily. Look at what the market's been doing. We're gone up. and now we're going down. And who knows what we're going to do? We might go sideways for a little bit. I mean, if you look at it, who knows what the Qs are going to, who knows what they're going to do. They're hitting the 200 for the first time. They'll probably hit the 200 tomorrow unless we gap up for the first time in 2 years, guys. 2 years. It hasn't hit it since 2020. Like the last time it broke through the 200 on 4/7/20. Since then, it hasn't hit the Qs, or it hasn't hit the simple on the 200 on the daily, the triple Qs. This is going to be the first time in 2 years. So that's something. My thoughts on Tesla. Since it's been trading, look at what it's done. It's gone up, all-time highs. And since it hit all-time highs, it went from early September in 20 until December of not really moving and just going sideways with probably not great action. So from September, that's 3 months, guys. 2 months. That's a little over 2 months. So you had 2 months of sideways action and then amazing trading for about a month and a half, 2 months. And then we had sideways and down action from, let's see, I'll just say February, and it went down. Probably easy to catch some of that. And then it pretty much went sideways from February until, no, there were some good days in here, but overall, like, you had a lot of sideways action. And then it runs up and hits all-time highs. Like, it would go down, it would trade sideways, you'd get some breakouts, and it would just kind of chop around, it would go back down, it would chop around, and now Tesla's back in that. It's not making an all-time high run right now. It's over here. It's already gone up, and now we're in that 2 to 3 months. If you go back and look at what it does after it goes higher and how it goes sideways, we're now back in this, like, sadly, since it broke down, like, it broke down and went up here. So from the last time it went down, 11.8, and then it didn't come back up until, like, I don't know, 12.20, so like a month of down and sideways action. And then it was good for a little bit, and now it's trending back down. So I think that Tesla goes back down to this trend line, probably. I think it could hit the 100 around 960, and possibly down to the 138, kind of depending on what day it gets there, but the 950 area. Like, if it got there at the end of this month, I would probably look for a long. If it wants to get down in that mid 900 area. It's not a long, but a long to kind of get back up over 1,000. Maybe it doesn't do that. Maybe it wants to go down and test the 200 again. We haven't tested the 200 since 8/21. So, maybe it wants to go down and eventually test the 200. I don't know what Tesla is going to do, and I don't have to know, because it doesn't matter. I'm just going to trade what it does every day. I'm going to trade how it sets up, and I'm just going to take what it gives me. And if Tesla is going to be rough, I'm going to try to find 1 or 2 breakouts in a day. And if it's not breaking out and it's just trading sideways, I'm not touching the stupid thing. I'm going to trade something else, and I might just trade the Qs and use stochastics. I might trade Google. I might trade Amazon. I'm going to find other names that are working, and I'm going to trade them. I'm not going to get sucked into the black hole, which is a sideways or slowly down moving Tesla. It might look like it was easy to play today. It was not. In my opinion, it was not. There were some easy plays, but overall it wasn't. Yeah, and Jess said in Discord, interest rate hikes will do that. And yeah, interest rates will slow up the market, and it is what it is. We might be in for a choppy year, at least until, the elections are over. Yep. And it's not going to be hard to load up when the market changes. Like, believe me, when I tear back up to 30 contracts plus, you guys will know. I'll let you know. My contracts are like, I'm doing 5 tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to trade more than 5 unless something really sets up. I'm just going to trade a few 5 contract trades, 1 or 2 10 contract trades, maybe. I'm going to log off as far as log out of my actual account unless I'm trying to take video of something of me trading, the Qs or Google on this strategy, so I can do some stuff for Friday and post a video for using stochastics and stuff. But yeah, and The guys that log off, make money and log off at 10 o'clock, you're the guys that are winning. Google was nice. Yeah, I discussed it earlier, Dyer. Google was nice in the morning. I made money in it. I'm going to show some videos, I think Friday maybe. So find names that are nice. Find names that are trending. Kind of notice what they're doing overall with the market. And then play them, you know, based on how the market is doing. Play them. You know, if the Qs are going down and a name is holding the 21, then when it hits the 21 and the Qs start ticking up a little bit, or the Qs, the stochastics on the Qs are down at the bottom, and this name is kind of not going down as much, the stochastics on the Qs are down, meaning you're going to get a small pop in the Qs, little small short, you know, or a little small pop, you buy, you catch a little bit of that move up in the name that's outperforming the market, and you catch a little bit. The little stuff like that's kind of what I've been doing. Yeah. That's about it. Like there's like 2, 5, and 10 is about perfect right now. Like I don't have a single reason to take more than 10 contracts. Unless it's like in the Qs or something, or you know, something where you're only risking 10, 20 cents if you're wrong. I'm not taking any contract size in anything, guys. I don't feel like losing money. And I do like Apple, Microsoft. A lot of these names have some stuff coming up, guys. So, you know, hopefully these catalysts kind of push everything higher. You know, talking about interest rates hikes might push the market lower. And that's fine. But hopefully we get some moves next week going into earnings. Who knows? Hopefully we get some other stuff. Hopefully we get some other moves happening in the market. We'll just wait and see. And you know, we're day traders, we're scalpers. We don't have to predict everything. We just have to predict the battlefield that we're on during that day. When we show up to trade, we need to identify the overall market, what kind of day it is, how the names we're trading are trading. If we can find an edge, if we find an edge, we take it and we ride it to success, and then we stop, and then we get off, or we do whatever, you know. And that's the only way I think to remain successful in this, you know, crazy environment. Yeah, I'd like some news plays. I haven't been doing as much news because I did a couple of times and I kept losing. I think in down markets, positive news makes it a lot harder. Choppy days, it's like I don't trust the news. When the market gets strong again, then I'll like it. And if the market is super weak and there's negative news, I'll short it. But news for me, I kind of have to play it with the market, and that's when it works the best. When I'm just like, oh, this is really good or whatever, it's like, it's not as good for me. It doesn't work as well. Until I hear Amazon split, then I'm going long. Long forever. I'm just going to buy calls and log out and go golfing. So that's what I've got tonight, guys. Don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Really hope Tesla gaps down or goes down some. I'd like to see this trigger 57. I'd like to see 957 break. I'd like to see this, you know, little line go down. I'd like to see it hit the 100. That would be really nice. But apart from that, unless there's some questions you guys have, that's what I've got for tonight. There's definitely, you know, there's always plenty of stuff we can discuss, but it's been about an hour. I don't want to keep you all here all night. You got to get some sleep, you know, get some rest, get ready for the day tomorrow. Sleep is very important. If you come to the market tired, you're more likely to make bad decisions. So don't stay up all night reviewing charts. You can't control what's going to happen. You know, get your stuff and get it done. You're welcome, Michael. Thanks for hanging out. Really appreciate you guys hanging out. If you did like this and you stayed this long, please leave a like. You know, share it with people that, you know, are interested in the market, other traders. You know, subscribe if you're not already. Really appreciate you guys hanging out, being here with me tonight. And I will see you all tomorrow in the Discord or in the Newsbeat Live room. Y'all have a great evening.